Welcome to Motherhood and ADHD. I'm your friend, Patricia Sun. My mission is to be a lighthouse for mothers with ADHD, helping you find your path to success by learning to appreciate your ADHD as an asset. I'm seeking to change the paradigm that ADHD means your life is doomed to be a hot mess. So I'm sharing strategies and encouraging you in your pursuit of happiness to love who you are every day of your ADHD life. Hey there, successful mama, it's Patricia. Okay, this week's review comes from my Insta buddy, Mark. So if you are on Instagram, go ahead and find at Wellness with Mark, and it's Mark with a C. He is so inspirational and very encouraging. I love watching his little videos and tips that he posts on Instagram. He's just this shining light of positivity in the world of ADHD. So go find him. So thank you, Mark. I think you're amazing, and I'm so excited you reviewed my podcast. And here's what he said. So good! Exclamation point. I'm not a mom, but I have ADHD and love this podcast. Patricia is motivational, incredibly relatable, and provides doable action steps that us ADHD folks benefit lots from. I love that Mark picked up on the action steps because he is a coach, a wellness coach. Specifically, he focuses a lot with, folks with ADHD. And so he's an action kind of guy as well. And I want so much that I am relatable, and I want so much that you feel comfortable here. But I also want to push you guys to do something different. I want to push you to take those steps and do something different so that you can make your life better every day. It's a constant journey, but we can do this together. So thanks so much, Mark. Mwah, mwah, mwah. And you too. I want your review as well. Please give me some stars there at the bottom of the app. You just scroll down on iTunes and you can see the stars. And I'd love to read out your review too. I'm so glad that you're here today chatting with me. This theme of balancing our lives has just been popping up recently more and more in my life. And I felt like clearly this was, meant to be a topic. I was reading a book a little while ago, probably like in the last month. And this is I've already given up on it. I'm not sad about it anymore. But one of my parts of ADHD is that I remember lots of stuff, but I can never remember who said it or credit the brilliant mind that came up with it. So no, it wasn't me. But they were talking about tightrope walking. And if you picture someone walking the tightrope, and then you ask yourself, at what point does that person achieve balance and then not worry about balancing anymore? Your answer would be never. They don't ever forget about balancing, right? This is their one singular focus in tightrope walking, is achieving balance and then adjusting constantly on one side or the other so that they can keep that balance. And then it reappeared in, I don't know if reading's the right word, maybe skimming would be a more appropriate word, the Productivity Project. And again, this idea of balance came up, and he was talking about how the whole concept of work-life balance appeared briefly in the 80s, but really didn't come into a commonly used term until the 90s. And since then, it's been growing and growing, this idea of the work-life balance. And he was using the example of a ballerina that's dancing on point and how they look so beautiful and graceful with their body. But yet, if you look at their feet, they're almost vibrating with the effort of keeping the body balanced. So they're constantly correcting, maintaining that beauty on top, but their feet are just working overtime. And if you think about anyone that's balancing like a juggler or a plate spinner or a unicyclist, any of those circus jobs, they're constantly balancing. They don't ever stop and go, cool, I achieved the balance, check, and then let go, because as soon as they do, everything falls apart. I think that's how we feel a lot of times as moms, is just that things are constantly falling apart. And so I want us to think about changing our mindset of balance being a destination, this elusive destination that we're never going to get to, and changing that to become a mindset of balance, where we just exist in this place of balance. And I was chatting a few months ago with a friend who had recently been diagnosed with depression. And I was telling her about, my journey with medicine, and that it just takes a while to find not only the right medicine, but you have to find the right dosage. And even when I first started doing medicine after I had postpartum anxiety with Elijah. And then just as a proactive way of dealing with it when I was pregnant with Joseph is that I started the medicine again. And when I weaned off the medicine with Elijah, I had like zero issues at all. It was very like textbook, started the medicine, felt better, tapered off the medicine, and moved on. Obviously, it was not that easy of a story, but like for just looking at the medicine part, let me focus there. So when I was pregnant with Joseph, I started on the medicine towards the end of my pregnancy and then, hired, that's not a word, increased the dose after I had him. And then when I was ready to taper off, because I really didn't have any of those issues with Joseph, all of a sudden it was like, all heck had broken loose because I wasn't able to just taper off. I was having a lot of issues trying to get off the medicine. And, I ended up having to actually increase the dosage before my time of the month. And then I could drop it back down to the regular dose afterwards. And it was just a whole new world. It was really frustrating because I expected it to go as well as it had getting off the medicine the first time, which was only like a couple of years ago. And it didn't. And that's the thing, like my body's not the same this time around. I'm in a different place in my life and I have to account and have grace for that difference, that things aren't necessarily going to be exactly the same way this time around because the world is an ever-changing place. Like obviously, this was an issue with my body makeup and chemistry and hormones and all that I can't control, but I have to still work within those parameters. But that's the thing is when we're trying to find a balance, like once you feel like you've hit this place where things are running smoothly, like something's gonna change. If it's not hormones, it's like even as simple as like your kids are on a schedule in the school year and here we are now, it's the start of summer and the schedule's all out of whack again and you have to rebalance everything. If you have teenagers, like they're a constant hormonal explosion and that's a constant change in your life. If you have babies, that first 2 years, they change so much. As soon as you think you've gotten down the pattern of their sleep schedule, then they grow and then that growth spurt triggers a whole nother change in their patterns again. And so there's never this stagnant place in life unless you're dead. And since we don't want to be there quite yet, like we need to adjust our mindset that things are constantly changing. And I know this sounds overwhelming and exhausting when you talk about it, but I'm not going to lie, it is exhausting. That constant balance is overwhelming. But if we change our mindset to know that this isn't like some goal that we're just trying so hard to reach and never get there, and instead look at it as that mindset and the process of being balanced, then it's so much more doable because now we're trying to achieve an attainable goal instead of chasing this elusive destination that doesn't exist. We're never going to reach a point of perfect balance and then just rest back on our laurels and enjoy the view. Like that doesn't happen. Maybe for that split second, but then something's going to change and we need to adjust. So what's helped me is looking at my priorities and making sure those are in balance and that my actions are matching up with those priorities. So when I'm a huge fan of bullet journaling. I absolutely adore it. And I know I'll do a whole episode on bullet journaling at some point. But when I look at my schedule for the week, I put in all the things that I already have scheduled. And then I look at my priorities, which straight up are always first God, then my husband, Dominic, and then my boys, Elijah and Joseph, and then friends and other like service commitments that I've made. But I stop and take a moment and look at my schedule and say, does this reflect how I want to live my life? And there's definitely times where I'm like, ooh, no, it does not. And then I try to make some adjustments if I can in that week. But, if I've already made a commitment in our family, we're very, once you've said that you're going to do something, you're going to do it. And so I might have to suck it up that week and know that things are going to be hard. But going forward, how am I going to adjust so that my priorities are in line? And then when I look at kind of my to-do list for the week, because I'm a huge to-do list writer. I have to write things down or I don't remember them. I've just started recently setting my priorities list for the week. And this is, away from obviously God, husband, kids, and friends and other commitments that I made, but just listing 3 priorities for the week. And this was really hard for me because I am a serial to-do list person because otherwise I forget that things that need to get done. But just having that moment to say, okay, these are the 3 things that I want to attack this week that I know if I can get these 3 things done, I will be happy with myself, because there's never going to be a point where I get all the things done on the to-do list. It's just not possible. Like, my to-do list has literally thousands of items on it because I can't remember anything. So it has everything from like, I kid you not, I write down all the littlest things, like even like swapping out my kids' toothbrushes every 3 months. I don't remember when we last swapped out toothbrushes. I don't remember if I did it 2 weeks ago or 6 months ago. I don't have that sense of time. And so I don't rely on my brain to keep track of that. I have it in my Todoist app. So when I say I have 1,000 things on my to-do list, I really have 1,000 things on my to-do list because I can't keep it all in my head. So in order to keep myself from feeling so unmotivated and so distressed when I get to the end of the week and I've only accomplished 23 things on the to-do list of 1,000, which still is super awesome that I got a lot of stuff done, but because I just see the ever-growing list of things I didn't get done, I just get really hard on myself. And so I just set those 3 priorities for the week. And if I can get those done, then I feel successful. If I get them done and I still have time for other things, great, I'll attack more stuff. But like, when I look at this week coming up, I've already sat back and said, like, okay, did I make time for my prayer time? Yes, I have a date night scheduled with my husband on Friday, so I know that I'm touching base with him there. Did I make time with each one of my kids individually? I've got that. Do I have time on my schedule for self-care and doing something just for me? I have that. Do I have some kind of friend event set up? And yes, I do have something with a friend. And then once I've checked all those boxes, I look at what are my main priorities for this week. One was recording this episode. I'm trying to get ahead where I can have them set up ahead of time and not be recording week to week, but I'm not there yet. And so I have finishing this episode is one of my priorities of the week. One of my priorities is writing down what I would like out of a podcast editor. I've just realized that like I like doing a lot of the stuff that has to do with the podcast, but editing it, I'm just really critical of myself, and it just takes me a long time to do, and it's not one of my I don't want to say it's not necessarily a strength. Like I can do it, but like, do I need to be doing it? No. So looking at, is hiring somebody to help me with that portion doable? What does that look like? How much is it going to cost me? What do I expect out of the person? That's something that I want to brainstorm this week so that I can next week, hopefully, start looking at my options. And then the third item I have is just picking up some of the clutter that's gotten overwhelming. Overall, I'm pretty good about keeping the house picked up because it very quickly turns into a slippery slope. And right now I just feel like there's lots of clutter around. And so I just want to take like even an hour and just go through and like pick up junk. Probably do that in pieces. Like I'll try to pick up some junk in the kitchen, pick up junk in the living room, so that my house just feels more clean. Because the more cluttered my house is, the more cluttered my mind feels, and I don't like it. And so those are my top 3. The main questions I try to hit with my calendar of, am I hitting my main priorities of life, the people who are important to me? And then what are the 3 things that are going to make me feel like I'm accomplished this week? And don't get me wrong, in my other section, I have a bunch of stuff written down of things, like little things that I need to get done, I need to cut my cat's fingernails this week. Or toenails? Claws? What's the right word for that? Like, I need to trim my cat's claws this week, but like, if it doesn't get done, it's not the end of the world. I can do that later. But, there's still all those things floating around, but really the main 3 things I need to get done, I have set aside, and I know that my calendar matches where I want to be. And that's kind of my mindset right now of achieving that balance. Again, I don't even like how I said that because it's not achieving the balance. It's achieving that balance mindset of making sure that I've got touch points on all the people who are important to me, not feeling so overwhelmed by the giant to-do list that I feel like I'm not accomplishing things. And so I hope you, Mama, can take a moment and think about how you can prioritize the things that are important to you this week, And having a plan set out of how you were going to keep those things in balance will make you feel like things are more in control. Obviously, there's a lot in life we can't control, but knowing kind of your direction for the week and taking that moment to step back and say, did I hit all of the things that can't be dropped? Did I toss all those balls back in the air that are coming down? Will really give you a clearer and more comfortable mindset going into the next week. So I hope this was helpful to you, sweet mama. And let me know on social media or on Facebook what you did to keep your balanced mindset this week. And speaking of Facebook, we did just start a Motherhood and ADHD community, and we would love to have you as one of our members. So go ahead and find us on Facebook and come chat it up with the rest of us. Share your questions and encourage another mama today. All right, I'll talk to you soon, successful mama. Thank you for listening to Motherhood and ADHD. For more resources, head over to our website, www.motherhoodandadhd.com.